Ntse jalo kgwedi ya Phatwe August ba ibitsa ka tsela ntseng jalo ke kgwedi ya basadi re keteka basadi mo letsatsi la Sontaga e tlabe re keteka Women's Day e leng gore e re nela jalo mafelo a beke a malele re le maAfrika Borwa go nna le motsatsi la mosupologo go na le ba ba sa eng ditirong ba tla jalo na letsatsi leo mme le gale se re mo fitlhetse our #women of power gompieno re buisana le Shahieda Thungo go boleletse gore ke motabogi wa mabelo ka kwa mo nageng ya Afrika Borwa re batla go mo itse botoka gonne nna re mmona fela mo di televisioneng a taboga kgaitsedi ya motho Makhelwane.
Hello.
Dumela khaitsere aka ra go dumedisa and welcome to Ga-Rankuwa FM.
Thank you for having me and thank you for your listeners.
Hey Mona, nare onale license ya code 14 Shahieda.
I've got a train license actually.
A train license?
Yes.
Oh, so he baro driver bus go di comrades marathon ba itse rona le license ya go training.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of yourself. I go refer background ya gore ga re bua ka Shahieda Thungo re bua ka mang yo tswanga o bele go ko kae.
Okay. So I get bits and pieces of what you are saying, so I'm constructing my sentence, okay?
Okay.
My reply. Okay. So just Shahieda Thungo, very colored, very married to a Zulu man. And I'm half a century not out. And I run long. I run because running saved my life, actually. My husband passed away in 2011 and I went through deep depression. I was diagnosed with cancer a week after he passed away. So it was hectic, like heavy stuff. It was very suicidal. Tried to commit suicide 3 times. That failed, and thanks God, because I'm sitting here. And I learned a lot about myself at that point in time. And during the process of trying to kill myself, I left my house, went to a field, tried to take myself out. It didn't work. Yep, went back, tried again, didn't work. After the 3rd time, I just laughed at myself when I got back home.
So when you reflect on the attempts to try and take your life, what led you to that corner to decide that, I'm ending it? Is it the type of relationship you had with your late husband?
Yes, partially. And I think the overwhelming event that was happening, because if there's one thing about death, it doesn't prepare you at all. It just comes. And my daughter was 6 years old at the time. And at that point, the thing with depression is you want a solution for what you are going through at the time. And at that point, you don't realize just how selfish it is because the pain is just so deep of what you are going through. And the thing with depression is you want a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and at that time you don't know it,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I get it. But before the passing of your husband, was running also part of your daily life, or it happened post his passing?
It happened post his passing. I was just a happily married wife. I used to actually at school, I used to run your 3,000 meters and then varsity. I wasn't really into sports. It was books. And then I was actually a gym bunny because my late husband was a bodybuilder. So we met at the gym. So I was doing aerobics and those kind of things, but not running. So in the process of me trying to commit suicide. I walked to the open field, came back, walked, came back. And after the third attempt, failed attempt, fortunately, I then laughed at myself and I felt a bit better. So then I started walking again. And the walking made me feel better. So I thought, let me continue doing this, because there's a sense of comfort I got out of it. I then went back to the gym because there's something that we shared, and I took my daughter to the gym as well. So she would swim while I was doing my gym work, and I felt very close to him at that time. And the doctor also wanted to put me on antidepressants, which I refused at the time. I actually made a deal with the doctor to say, listen, let me do my things. Let me try for myself first. If I come back in a year and I'm still so depressed, then we can revisit the medications. Because I had a friend who was on antidepressants and she was not in contact with her feelings. So I didn't want to be numbed. I actually said, let me feel and go through the motions and try to navigate my life through it, you know. And I think it's one of the best decisions I made in my life.
Yeah. Would you say, based on your experience over the years, are you able to pick up when someone is going through a mental challenge or going through maybe a depression state in your immediate circle? Are you able to pick it up?
Yes, actually, because this has heightened my senses around me. I think I grow whiskers, like, you know, a cat feels with their whiskers. So I think that has happened, and especially with my daughter. And I smile all the time. I laugh all the time. And I always say, don't look like your problems. I mean, I've been to rock bottom, and I share my story freely. I don't really ask someone what's wrong, because, you know, sometimes asking someone what's wrong, it will push you over the edge. I felt that with myself. You know, when people would just ask me what's wrong, I would just then get to a place of feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah. Do you remember that first day when you took part in a marathon? How did it feel afterwards?
Oh, I nearly died.
Why? Was it because of lack of experience, or what happened?
Yo, dude, runners are liars. I knew nothing. I wore the wrong shoes. I wore the wrong clothes. I suffered. Yeah. I suffered so bad. But I needed to run a qualifying marathon because I entered for 2 Oceans because for some reason my one runner friend felt I was ready to upgrade from a 21 to a 56 for 2 Oceans. And I believe this girl believed in herself. Because, I mean, it's 21K multiplied by 2 again. Yeah.
Okay. So are you good in speaking Zulu? Because you said your late husband was a Zulu man.
Yes. And it's so funny because when we met, I couldn't speak a word of Zulu. And I spent a lot of time with his grandmother who couldn't speak a word of English or Afrikaans. So Afrikaans is my mother tongue. So, hey, this Makoko was not going to adapt, ne?
Yeah, no, I can tell. So, but now, from then on, running the 56Ks and now doing it or more often, how did now the name Makhi come about in your life or as an ultra marathon runner?
It actually came from the spinning class, because I used to do a lot of spinning, and in the spinning class I would say, "Woza Makelwani, Woza Makhi, Ungayed." So the runners were then the guys from the gym were also runners, and then we met on the road, and then the bus driving found me there, and the runners thought my name is actually Makhi.
Oh, yeah. But then how did you take it though, being called Makhi as a runner? At first, did you like the name, or you had to now get used to being called Makhi?
I was already used by being called Makhi from the gym, you know. So I didn't correct anyone. It just stayed. And it's such a befitting name because everyone you run next to, and in African cultures, your neighbors are more your family than your family. Because if anything happens, bazobuza umakhelwane ukuthi wenzakaleni.
No, that is true. And then now you're graduating from doing a 56 to now going to qualifying for Comrades Marathon.
Sure. I was never going to run Comrades. It was never in my plan. I'm not crazy. Can we start it? So, Mina, I was just going to run the 56 and that was going to be it. Because in the initial stages, I said, I will never run Comrades again. The thing is too long, it's too far. Running from Pietermaritzburg to Durban is just no, that's insane. And then the narrative changed because then I started saying, if I have a very good reason to run Comrades, then I will run Comrades. I need a very good why to run Comrades. And then in 2016, my mother passed away. And then now I had that reason, running in memoriam of my late mother and my late husband, and in aid of cancer surviving. Then that's how I ran my first Comrades. So I have a very big why every year on why I'm running Comrades.
Yeah, because my second question was going to be now, for every Comrades Marathon, do you have a different theme that you are running for, or it's more about the people that you've lost that were close to you, and also being able to recover from such a threatening illness like cancer?
For me, it's constant healing. Because healing is a very profound word, because you're never healed, things from when you go through trauma, when you go through depression, every day is a blessing. So you are in constant healing. So my narrative for running Comrades, it's still that, and it also added a bit, because for now, for me, bus driving is actually more than bus driving. It's a calling, and I do the 12-hour bus. So it's now to take at least one runner to the finish and making the possibility of them finish come true and being part of their finishing journey.
Yeah, I remember watching, I think it was a Comrades Marathon, or I don't recall the details clearly. There was one bus driver who once finished the race alone. Has it ever happened to you? Because as we know, you do the 12-hour bus. Has it ever occurred where you had to complete the race only by yourself without people, boarding your bus?
At Comrades.
No. At any race that you've taken part.
Not really, because there's always just that one person who just wants to finish. I mean, when I ran my first marathon, I made a pact with the Almighty to say, if you can just take me to the finish, I won't let another runner suffer by themselves like this. And I think he listened. So it has been my calling, sir.
I remember you once shared a story. It's a very profound story where you said your manager advised you to carry coins when you run the Comrades Marathon, because you carrying the coins, it carried a huge responsibility. Tell us a little bit about that story.
So when I went to run my first Comrades, I wasn't an official bus driver. I was just someone who was going to run in memoriam of my mom and my late mom and my late husband and the journey that I followed. And my daughter writes a note for me every year when I write comrades, and I carry it with me. So my manager said to me, just carry some coins with you, not a lot, just enough coins, because it's going to get heavy. And you're going to see someone to give it to. Because I asked her, why should I carry coins? She said, no, just carry it. You'll know. And we got to Valley of 1,000 Hills. There was a little boy, I think he was about 8 years old at the time. This was 2016. I was just estimated his age, I mean. And he just stood there. He didn't say anything. He didn't ask for anything. He just stood there wearing a T-shirt and stuff. I remember that year it was on a down run. So we started in Pietermaritzburg. And it's quite cold, in Pietermaritzburg. So I just went to this little boy and I opened my running pack and I gave him the money. I didn't know how much it was. I just put the coins in his hand and he looked up to me and he said, "Umama ngiyabonga, namhlanje sizolala sidlile." And
Sure.
It hit me that this little boy is standing there on the side of the road. We are running and he is thinking about a meal for his family, It's probably a child here at home. I froze at that moment and it hit me, it sunk in, and I'm like, wow. Me now, when I have to give my daughter a 5 rand, she's going to go, Mama, what must I do with the 5 rand? We have one. So every year then I actually ask the runners that I run with, carry some sweets, carry some coins, and just hand it out to the little ones, because you have no idea what a difference are you making in someone's life at that moment.
100%. Sure. So surely your perspective of running Comrades Marathon has surely changed from that moment where you encountered that particular young boy.
It has.
Yeah.
Comrades has 2 sides. You run from Durban to Pietermaritzburg or Pietermaritzburg to Durban, and you're going to see the extremes. One is extreme wealth and the other one is extreme less wealthy. I don't like to call poverty. I don't like that word. And people who are so content with just having a loaf of bread on the table. And here we are with these expensive watches and running shoes that we are running with, that we take some things for granted.
100%. Would you say the honor that you received from Comrades Marathon, the Spirit of Comrades Marathon Award, also speak to the type of an individual you are?
Sure, that's a loaded question. I believe that the runners who voted for this, because I wasn't even aware that it was happening, they believe that I'm making a little change in their lives, and they felt it very significant. Whether I'm doing it, I don't know. But I always, when I pray, I always say, Almighty, keep me humble and keep me grounded.
Yeah. Do you also consider yourself as an influencer?
No.
Yeah, but why would they award you? I saw you also received the FXPH Recognition Program Influencer Award.
Yes, it worked. Oh wow, yes, I did. I asked why would they say that I'm an influencer, because I just see myself as an ordinary person who shows up, make a lot of noise on the road, have fun on the road, and slower running. I think I've made it fashionable or acceptable. Let me say acceptable. Because before it was just like, you must run so fast. And I'm like, no, I run for more than me. And that's when Stop Halala was actually born. It's the brand that I have. So Saphalala was born out of, I stay on the road for long because it may be at home, I'm going through very deep things. And this little moment that I have belongs to me. We talk about our issues on the road, on the Saphalala bus. And it's not only women that talk. There are some gentlemen as well. But the majority of us women, we are going through very deep things at home. From abusive relationships, whether emotionally, physically, financially, even, because there's some men who would leech on women, or even our families. There's not only say men, because you find people are leeching on us, and we go through stuff. We go through divorces. You go through trauma. So that little moment that you have, it is something that we call running broken. But then you find your way on putting the puzzle together and have that moment to be away maybe for 3 hours on a 21, and then go home after that and you are content and you face that little reality again. But that little solace of 3 hours is what Saphalala is.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. You're doing a great job, Makhi. I saw you've been nominated for the Runner Awards in Gauteng as Pacer of the Year. How are you feeling about that?
Please vote, guys.
Yeah.
SMS to 33640, Pacer Shahieda Thungo, and online as well, Shahieda Thungo at runnerawards.com. I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to it. I hope the work that I'm doing will speak for it. And I'm the only female who was actually nominated there, and a female of color. So it means really a lot. And whether I'm an influencer, maybe.
No, you are. Sometimes you mustn't be modest about it, Shahieda.
Yeah.
Yeah. We called you tonight just to celebrate you and also find out a little bit about you as an ultra marathon pace setter. Any message that you have for women out there who are maybe going through a lot, or just a message in general, just to give them that an oomph not to give up?
Firstly, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Find one person to talk to. Journal if you don't find someone to talk to. Write it down. Go out there, mingle. Get it all out. If it means it's running, if it means it's a different hobby to take you away from the situation at a bit, do it. Whether it's gym or whatever it is. And the sun does rise the following morning.
What do you do on your spare time when you are not running and also not at work?
I bake. I love baking breads, specialist breads, playing with flour. My daughter is a chef, so we spend quite a bit of time in the kitchen. We do that. We just take drives at time, but now cost of fuel is ridiculous. We clean, I crochet every now and then. So, read a lot. Yeah.
What are you currently reading that is interesting?
I'm reading a book that's written by a friend and a fellow runner. It's called Purposefully Broken. It's Busi Mazondolo. She's a therapist. So that's what I'm currently reading. She gifted me with that book. And it speaks so much to me.
Any upcoming races that we can look out for where you'll be taking part?
Shame. I was supposed to run the GBV race in Mpumalanga this weekend. I can't. Kind regard gives me by the washing. Then I'm going to run Midrand. I'm running Total Sports 10K, Upstart 10K. I'm running Masingita in Giani. I'm trying to get my Tsonga brushed up. Lessons, please. I'm putting it that the universe, that Ga-Rankuwa will invite me to come and pace there. Universe. Yeah. What else am I running? Some of the Vitality Series races, Clearwater Mall 21. Sure, yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, you got a lot on your plate.
Love it though.
Yeah. Shahieda, no, thank you very much. We thought we should just catch up with you this evening as we celebrate or commemorate Women's Day or Women's Month. And I've enjoyed myself having a conversation with you. Do you listen to music by chance? Which song can we close the show tonight with that we can dedicate to you actually?
Dude, I listen to hardcore hip hop.
Yo.
Very old school hip hop. Tax Mention. If you can play that. Or Crazy. BBNC Sewines. So I have a vast variety of music that I listen to. I can listen to anything. First love is hip hop. In fact, you surprise me. You play something for me.
Okay, no, I will do that. Yeah. I will do that. No, thank you very much, Makhi. You can say, I get you are going to Limpopo, you are going to sing it. So, Otlanor, Abushene, he can say,
Aye. Minjani.
Mufukle Minjani. I know, Usharp. Thank you very much, Makhi. We really appreciate you affording us your time this evening, and all the best in your life, my sister. May your daughter grow and, carry on the legacy of the Thungo family.
Amen. God bless all of you, and you and I shall meet in Ga-Rankuwa when I come and run there. The universe has spoken.
100%. Siyabonga, mama. Siyabonga.
Thank you so much, and to your listeners. Cheers, bye.
Tada. Re buisana jalo le Shahieda Thungo ke mo atlete o dira jalo tsa mabelo me ne re mo tlhole mo skhutleng sa rena sa Women of Power #Women of Power.